Hello everyone, welcome to a premium Blue Wave deck profile. This is the first Cardfight Vanguard related video I'll have on the channel, with hopefully more on the way. Now, if you're interested in just the deck list, here you go. Got it? Alright, now it's gone. So, Blue Wave is the deck that I've been piloting for premium for the past few months now, ever since Tetra-Drive Dragon was revealed in Clan Collection. Now, there are problems with the deck that I've noticed, namely that, unlike things like Lambros, it lacks the consistency of that deck, but even so, I still prefer the Blue Wave build because I just love a good, resource management game, which this deck does supply. Now, before we move any further, I want to thank my friend Godsman00. He's the one who introduced me to the game a little less than a year ago, I believe. It was back in like April. And we had an absolute blast playing this. We were just coming off of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Bakugan, those two TCGs, but we both kind of fell off of those. So Vanguard was a really nice, refreshing, breath of air, right? The game is just so much more balanced. I love it a whole lot more, I gotta say. So thanks Godsman00 for that. Yeah, I guess we'll move on to the grade 3s. Now, the first grade 3 we're running here is Blue Wave Dragon Tetra-Drive Dragon. He is the absolute best Blue Wave Vanguard that we have at the moment, seeing as, well, Valios didn't come with an Excel circle, unfortunately. So, rip to that strategy. But while his effects aren't all that impressive in V format, Premium is where he really shines. His effect reads, act on Vanguard or rear. Cost, counterblast 1, and this unit gets power plus 2000 until end of turn. That effect was memed into oblivion when he was revealed. I wasn't all too happy with that, because at the time I primarily played V Premium. But since moving on to Premium, that effect, while it is very insignificant and will basically never come up, the fact that it's there doesn't really bother me that much anymore. Especially since the important parts of the card are his circle and name. That's really it, honestly. But as for his other effect, auto on the Vanguard circle, at the end of the battle your rearguard attacked, perform the following depending on which battle of the turn that battle was. So, 4th wave, you get to discard 2 to restand him with -1 drive. And 7th wave, you counterblast 1 and discard to restand him. So he is a Vanguard that can attack 3 times total. Now, unfortunately, multi-attacking with Tetra-Drive Dragon on your grade 3 turn is very resource intensive. You're having to discard a whole lot, you're having to counterblast, and with a bunch of the other rearguards that you're running that do restand and multi-attack, that's also going to drain a lot of your resources. You're only really going to have to worry about his actual effect during your first grade 3 turn, because every single turn after that you're going to be striding. This is Premium after all, so I wouldn't worry about it too much, even if it is very resource intensive. Next, for the grade 3s, we're running 2 copies of Blue Wave Dragon Arsenal Fleet Dragon. He is a fantastic card. He allows you to basically stride as long as you have Soul. So his effect is, auto on the rearguard circle, once per turn, GB1, so he's locked to having 1 card face up in the G zone. Counterblast 1 card with Blue Wave in its card name. When this unit attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, until the end of this turn, he gets power plus 4000, so he becomes a 15k swing. And if it is the second battle of this turn, stand this unit. Now that effect we're not really going to be using that much, because typically he's going to be in drop zone or in hand. But if the need arises, you are going to be able to multi-attack with him if you really want to meet those numbers. Now, in the drop zone, you can Soul Blast 1 when your Vanguard with Blue Wave in its card name stands due to an effect in order to return him to your hand. That's the reason we run him. So when Tetra-Drive here on the first grade 3 turn attacks, then you use this effect to discard to restand him. You can discard Arsenal Fleet and Soul Blast add him back, so you're not really negging yourself too much. So that really helps. Though his real benefit is going to be with paying cost for stride. Since he is a grade 3, every single time at the start of your turn your Tetra-Drive is going to stand. You can Soul Blast one and add him back to hand to just continue striding, so you're never going to have to worry about that. Now, on to grade 2s. And now moving on to grade 2s, we have Blue Wave Marine General Foivos. He's going to be one of the primary multi-attackers of the deck. Granted, I end up not really using his effect that much, in favor of another multi-attacker that we're going to get into once we get into the grade 1s. His effect reads, auto on the rearguard circle, 3rd wave, counterblast 1. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a Vanguard with Blue Wave in its card name, you may pay the cost. If you do, it gets power plus 2k until end of turn, and at the end of that battle, stand this unit. So, for the cost of a counterblast, he can restand and become an 11k swing, and with one of the strides that we're going to get into, he actually becomes a 13k swing. So, being able to harass force decks is going to be very handy moving forward. Now, in addition to 4 copies of Foivos, we're also running 4 copies of Tidal Assault. Tidal Assault is just an absolute fantastic beat stick. He's a staple in pretty much every Aqua Force deck that I have built thus far. And his effect reads, continuous on the rearguard circle. During the battle, it attacked. If 4 or more of your other units are in rest, it gets power plus 15. So it becomes a 24k swing, or 29 on an Excel 2. Excel 1 doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. Now, auto on the rearguard circle, at the end of your turn, if the total number of attacks this turn is 4 or more, put it into your soul and draw a card. So he's really great for just managing your resources. He puts himself into soul, so you're free to, use your Arsenal Fleet Dragon continuously. And all around, he's just a really big, beefy boy. And I really like that. Next up for grade 2s, we are running 2 copies of the old Tidal Assault. Now, he becomes a little more useful to me in the later game. His effect reads, auto on the rearguard circle. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, if you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, stand this unit, and it gets power minus 5k until end of turn. The ability can only be used once that turn. So if you have 2 copies of Tidal Assault, you can only use one of their effects. Now, a free restand is fantastic, but the fact of the matter is that with the minus 5k, you're not really going to be hitting with Tidal Assault that much. So really what you're going to be using him for in the early turns, especially on your first grade 3 turn, is just to get to those 5 and 7 battles that you need in order to restand Tetra-Drive. But on the later turns, comboed with another grade 1 restander we have and a stride, he actually becomes one of the key finishing pieces that I use for this deck. Now, we're going to move on to grade 1s. Alright, now for grade 1s, we're starting off with Blue Wave Soldier Senior Corvette. This is another fantastic addition to the deck. His effect reads, continuous on the rearguard circle. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard with Blue Wave in its card name, this unit gets power plus 5k. So he's effectively a 13k grade 1 attacker or booster. Now those numbers are fantastic, and his second effect is even better. Auto on the Vanguard or rear. When its attack or the attack it boosted hits a Vanguard, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal a blue wave from among them, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Well, put it on the bottom of the deck, I'm sorry. Now that effect is great. He is the primary searcher of the deck, so anytime that you see him in your opening hand, keep him. Keep him and either ride him as the Vanguard if you're going second, or put him as a booster. That way you can continue to harass the opponent with hit pressure so that they want to guard those early swings and prevent you from gaining resources. But if they don't, then hey, you just plus. So that's great. Next, we are running 3 copies of Blue Wave Soldier Senior Beragios. Now, in a previous build that I was using, I was running 4 of him, because searching out Tetra-Drive is very important. Seeing as he's really the only card you want to ride for grade 3, not having him can be a really big detriment. But I did bump it down to 3 because I wanted to make space for another card that we'll see in the Grade 1 lineup here. But Beragios is the generic Grade 3 searcher of the Aqua Force clan. His effect reads continuous on Vanguard or rear during your turn. If you have 4 or more rested rear guards, this counts himself, he gets power plus 5k. And auto on the Vanguard or rear. When placed from hand, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal a Grade 3 from among them, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck, and then discard a card if you add it. So having him is just very useful. He's even got the blue wave name, so he's searchable off of Corvette. So if your Corvette doesn't actually hit a Tetra-Drive when he attacks or boosts, you can add a Beragios instead, play him, and then search for Tetra-Drive that way. Next for Grade 1s, we are running 4 copies of Blue Wave Dragon, Propulsion Dragon. This is a card that I've seen not a lot of people are a fan of. And I think I understand why, but personally, I just really like the card. His effect reads, auto on the rearguard circle once per turn. At the end of the battle that this unit attacked a Grade 2 or greater Vanguard, cost counterblast 1, choose another back row rearguard and exchange its position with this unit. And if you exchanged, stand it. Now, the reason I run him is, despite the fact that he's very counterblast heavy if you're using multiples, it's that, well, for one, counterblast isn't really an issue, as we'll see with the next card. But if you have 2 copies of Propulsion Dragon, one in the front row on an Excel circle, let's say, so he's 13, and then this one on the back row boosting something, you have this one swing, counterblast, swap with this one, then this one swings, swap with that one, and then swing again, and then this one's free to boost. So, in effect, you're getting 3 uses out of your Excel circle, and I find that to be very, very useful. Despite the fact that that little interaction with 2 Propulsion Dragons costs you 2 Counterblast in a single turn, not to mention any other effects that you might have, such as Foivos or your Vanguard or what have you, I find that that Counterblast isn't really... it's not that heavy of a cost to pay, especially thanks to our next card here. This one came out in DBT 03. This one is Prized Trident. This is the thing I made room for by removing a Beragios. Now, Prized Trident's effect reads, auto on rearguard circle, when your other unit attacks, if it is the 5th battle of this turn, put this unit into your soul and countercharge 1. He is, I think, a better Light Signals Penguin Soldier. Because Penguin Soldier, he sacrifices the ability to be able to attack. Granted, he does give power to another unit, but he sacrifices the ability to attack or boost, whereas Prized Trident doesn't, and you're able to stick it into Soul, which is very nice for the Arsenal fleet. So Prized Trident mitigating Counterblast does come in very, very handy in this deck. And finally, for Grade 1s, we are running 3 copies of Blue Wave Soldier, Bright Shooter. He is one of my favorite cards in the deck, if I'm being honest. Most lists that I've seen tend not to run him. And I get why, but I really just like the ability to recur Grade 3s with his effect, which reads, wave 4th or more, at the end of the battle that this unit boosted, if you have a Vanguard with Blue Wave in its card name, choose up to 1 Grade 3 from your drop and put it into your hand. So his effect doesn't even require him to hit, actually. Unlike things like Corvette, he could just boost and then have you add the Grade 3. So that's honestly fantastic. I was running 4 for a time, but I found that to be a little too much, especially given his low shield value relative to a lot of the other cards in the deck. But he is a very nice utility piece to have, I think, and is well worth the slot in this deck, especially paired up with the next card. Moving on to triggers. For our triggers, we're starting out with 3 copies of Escutcheo Bubble Dragon, the Aqua Force Grade 3. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure, already know their effects, but for those who don't, his effect reads, auto, when this unit is placed on the Guardian Circle from hand. If you did not ride a Grade 3 or greater unit this fight, perform one of the following. Choose one of your Vanguards and it gets 10,000 power until end of turn, or choose one of your opponent's units and it gets -2 crit until the end of that battle. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle from hand, if your damage zone has no cards, put the card on top of your deck into your damage zone. So he enables you to be able to bypass the opponent damage denying you early in the game by just calling him onto the field. But his more important effect is being able to prevent early rush. Because then if your opponent's at grade 3, you're still at grade 2, you're able to give your Vanguard a 25k boost for that battle, which is very, very nice. Also, you're mitigating things like Dragonic Overlord that can hit you for a lot of criticals, so reducing it by 2 is also very helpful. And paired up with Bright Shooter here, if you discard him for G-Guards, which you are going to be doing, Bright Shooter can continuously add these things back to your hand, enabling you to have a fantastic defensive option against a bunch of decks. Even if you use all your G-Guards, having extra 15k shield is never a bad thing in my eyes. For the next triggers that we're running in the deck, we're also running 4 copies of Emerald Shield Paschal. I think this one's fairly self-explanatory. I'm not going to go into it too much. It's the, draw PG. I don't really see any reason to run the Crit Sentinel PG, if I'm being honest, because draw power is king. Next, we are running 4 copies of Blue Wave Soldier Brutal Trooper. He's another great card in the deck. A lot of these, I'm saying that about a lot of these cards, but it's true. His effect reads, act on the rearguard circle. Put this unit on top of your deck. If you have a Vanguard with Blue Wave in its card name, choose up to one of your Vanguards, and until end of turn, it gets auto on the Vanguard circle, second wave or more. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, draw a card. Shuffle your deck. So, Brutal Trooper in the early game is going to enable cards like Tetra-Drive Dragon to be able to draw cards every single time he attacks. Just one Brutal Trooper, having his effect applied on Tetra on your first grade 3 turn, is going to enable you to draw 3, which is going to balance out the amount that you have to discard for Tetra-Drive's full effect. This also applies to things like Flood Hazard Dragon, as we're going to discuss once we go into the G-Zone. So stacking multiples of him onto your Vanguard is going to be a great thing to do in the early turns. But he's not just great in the early turns, he's also great in the late turns as well, because you're going to be doing a lot of drawing with this deck. And that means that you have the potential to deck out, which I've had happen to me a couple times already. But he allows us to mitigate that because his effect reads that you don't necessarily have to target your Vanguard. It says target up to your 1 Vanguard, meaning that he could shuffle himself back into the deck, no targets, and you just have you've just filled up your deck with more cards. And having extra crits in there during the late game is going to be very handy once you want to go in for your kill turn. Next, we're running 3 copies of the Stride Crit, 1 pain cost for Stride to discard it as a grade 3. Just very nice, having extra cards to discard for Stride. So in total, I believe that's 13 cards you can use to discard to pay the cost for Stride, which is very handy. And finally, for the triggers, we are running 1 copy of the Overtrigger, Source Dragon Deity of Blessings Blessfavor. Gives 100 mil and lets you draw 1 when it's either drive checked or damage checked, but if it's drive checked, you get the additional effect to draw an additional card, so you're drawing 2 off of this. You choose one of your units, it gets +1 crit, it has a front effect, and it allows you to heal. So all around, having all 4 of those effects is very nice. Any Overtrigger is going to come in clutch if drive checked. And we're just running the Blue Wave Recruit Kosty as the starter. Doesn't really matter what kind of starter you're running. Now, let's move on to Strides. So for our first Stride, we're going to be running 2 copies of Blue Storm Steel Dragon Genbold Dragon. His effect reads, auto on the Vanguard circle. When placed, look at 7 cards from the top of your deck and call up to 2 of them as rest and shuffle your deck. The second effect reads, when it attacks, counterblast 1 and turn a card from the G-Zone face up. And for every 2 of your rested rearguards, draw a card, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. And if you drew 3 or more cards with this effect, stand 2 of your rearguards. He gets you advantage, he stands rearguards. What more could you want in Aqua Force, honestly? Next, we're running 2 copies of Blue Wave Marshal Dragon Flood Hazard Dragon. Now, initially, I was going to run 4 copies of the card, but I chose not to do that because of deck out issues, and we'll get into my solution for that with the next stride. So auto on the Vanguard circle, counterblast 1, and choose a face down card with the same name as this unit from your G-Zone, turn it face up, so flip another copy of himself. Choose 2 cards from your hand and discard them at the end of the battle that are rear guard with a blue wave in its card name attacked. If you have a hard card with blue wave in its card name, and it was the 4th battle of this turn, you may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit, and it gets drive -1. His second effect reads, continuous in the Vanguard circle, GB3. This unit gets drive +1, and all of your rear guards in your front row with blue wave in their names get plus 2,000 power. So he enables cards with blue wave in their name to get plus 2,000 power. So Foivos, we mentioned earlier, he is going to end up swinging for 13 when he attacks, because he's going to gain the 2k from his own effect, making him 11, plus 2k more, that's 13. So 2 13k swings with him, very nice. Additionally, on Flood Hazard's first attack, he's going to be at 4 drive checks, which is also very handy. Pair that up with Brutal Trooper, you're also going to be drawing every time he swings. So say you have 2 Brutal Troopers on him, that's 4 draws from the Brutal Troopers, plus the 4 drive checks. He does get drive -3 on the second swing, but he's still going to have 1 drive check. So in all, you'll net yourself, 10 cards off of that. Now you're going to have to discard for the restand, so, card economy and all that, but even still, you're digging into a lot of your deck. And this card ends up being a problem because of it, unfortunately. Because you end up decking yourself out if you overextend and put too many resources into continuously drawing with this and Brutal Trooper. So be wary of that. But he is still fantastic. The next stride we're running is 2 copies of Blue Wave Marshal Dragon Tetra-Boil Dragon. He's what I'm running in place of 2 more copies of Flood Hazard because his effect enables me to have 1 less drive check. His effect reads, auto on Vanguard circle, GB2, counterblast, and choose a face down card with Blue Wave Marshal Dragon Tetra-Boil in your G-Zone, turn it face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a heart with blue wave at its name, you may pay the cost, and if you do until end of turn, it gets drive -1 and 4th wave or more. 4th wave only. Choose a card from your hand and discard it. At the end of the battle, your rear guard attacked a Vanguard. You may pay the cost. If you do, stand this unit. So, because of that drive -1, if your deck is really, really thin, what you can do is shove Brutal Troopers into the deck and have Tetra-Boil's effect activate, giving you 1 less drive check and keeping yourself from decking out while still being able to swing with the Vanguard, which I find to be extremely useful. Next, we're running 2 copies of Marine General of Heavenly Silk, Lambros. He is honestly a lesser version of the next card we're going to go over, but his effect is useful in case you're getting damage denied or you just have no way of countercharging. His effect reads, auto on the Vanguard circle, choose a face-down card named Lambros from your G-Zone, turn it face up. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if it is the 4th battle of that turn or more, you may pay the cost, and if you do, choose up to 2 of your rear guards and stand them. If the number of face-up cards in your G-Zone is 2 or more, the units that stand by this effect get power plus 10k until end of turn. He enables multi-attacking, he doesn't cost Counterblast, so that's nice, but I don't really see him as much of a finisher. He's more of like a backup piece in case you're pushed into a corner. And finally, for strides, we're running 2 copies of Alexandros. His effect reads, auto on Vanguard, wave 2nd or 3rd, counterblast 1 and choose a face-down card in the G-Zone, turn it face up. At the end of the battle, if this unit attacked, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 2 of your rear guards, stand them, and they get power plus 5k for each face-up card in the G-Zone. So suppose you have 6 cards in the G-Zone already face up by the time you stride into him. He's going to be giving 2 units plus 30k power, which on restanders is going to be devastating for the opponent. He's a fantastic finisher. I was originally running Megiddo instead of one of these, so I was only running 1 of these and 1 Megiddo, but I found myself not really using Megiddo for anything. He just never came up, honestly. So having a second copy of a finisher here in case things go south for you is quite useful in my opinion. Moving on to G guards, we are running one copy of Blue Storm Deterrence Dragon, Ice Barrier Dragon. He's a solid 25k shield on first or fourth wave or more. There's not really much to him, honestly. He's just beefy shield, useful. So yeah. Then we're running two copies of Ioannis. Ioannis is my go-to G guard. They have the effect of GB1 when placed on the Guardian Circle, Counterblast 1, choose a face-down G-Guardian from the G-Zone, turn it face up. Choose up to 5 of your rear guards, and until end of turn they get resist and they can't be hit. And Ioannis gets plus 5k for each rear guard that you have. So big beefy shield, and the cost of a Counterblast doesn't matter, because the thing you're going to be flipping face up is Galphelia. Now Galphelia allows us to countercharge. Her effect reads, on the Guardian Circle, continuous, second or third wave, this unit gets power plus 5,000. So she's effectively a 20k shield, meaning that your heal guards are like the old heal triggers, 20k shield. Her second effect, though, is where things get really crazy. Act on the G-Zone, Soul Blast 1, and turn this card face down. Choose a card on your circle or in your damage zone and turn it face up. So she allows us to countercharge, unlock, undelete our Vanguard. Link Joker players, I'm sorry. But yeah, she's an absolutely amazing card. And with the recycling of the grade 3 heal guardians that we have, thanks to Bright Shooter, we're going to be able to abuse her again and again and again every single turn, assuming we haven't hit the 4 G-Guardian limit. As well as that, she's also the generic flip fodder target for things like Genbold or Alexandros. So all in all, she's just very, very nice. And here we have 3 other options you could be running for Blue Wave. On the left here, we have the old version of Beragios, whose effect reads auto when this unit is placed on rearguard from hand. Look at 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 Blue Wave Marshal Valios from among them, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. If you put 1 card, choose 1 or more cards with the sum of their grades being 3 or greater from your hand, and discard them. That's not the important effect. We're not running the main deck Valios here. What matters is his second effect, and its interaction with Tetra-Drive. When your Vanguard with Blue Wave in its name stands, stand this unit. Which effectively means that Beragios is going to have 3 swings, in partnership with Tetra-Drive Dragon. Because Tetra-Drive is going to restand twice, Beragios is going to have his first swing, and then 2 additional swings because of the 2 restands. So he's a nice aggressive option. Unfortunately, I found him to be not as consistent, because while yes, extra aggression is very nice, I just find myself not really relying on him that much, especially given that he tends to be more of a brick in my eyes than not. And in the center we have Bubble Edge Draco Kid. He's a starter from the old days. His effect is auto Forerunner, so he calls himself from Soul when rode upon. And act on the rearguard circle, put this unit into your soul. If you have an Aqua Force Vanguard, choose one of your Aqua Force, and until end of turn, this unit gets auto on Vanguard or rear. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, and if it's the 4th battle of the turn or more, draw a card. So he combos really well with Beragios. Bubble Edge, you stick him into soul, target Beragios, and if you have multiples of it, Beragios attacking 3 times, presumably on 4th wave or more, would then be able to draw. Let's say you put 1 in, you draw 3. You put 2 in, you draw 6, 3, 9, etc. So it's a really great, plus engine. But again, I just don't really see myself using this particular engine because you're going to have to run 4 Beragios and 4 Draco Kid if you want to achieve consistency with this. But because you're doing that, you're sacrificing perhaps some more important pieces, like better shields or even more resource parts. So that's part of the reason why I'm not doing that. And finally on the right we also have Riptide Dragon. The fourth battle is when he can attack, and when he does, he'll gain an extra 20k power. He's a really nice beatstick. I did run him in the previous version of the deck that I had, but I took both copies of him as well as the Beragios out for the 3 copies of Prize Trident, as I mentioned earlier. So, Riptide Dragon, I'm really hoping that, what's its name? Cobalt Wave Dragon, in the new clan collection that's going to be revealed soon here. I'm hoping that he's actually a very good, like, suitable replacement for Riptide, because if we're going off of his old effect, I believe he gains power every single time another unit attacks. So if he gains, say, 5k, and it's on the rearguard circle, then if it's the 4th battle or more, then yeah, he could gain that 20k power. So he could be a potential replacement for Riptide Dragon, and assuming he has an Excel, a better ride target as well. Other options include here, Terrific Coil Dragon, who's a generic restander at the cost of a Soul Blast. His effect reads, auto on rearguard circle when this unit attacks. If it is the first battle of that turn, Soul Blast 1 and stand this unit. And auto on the rearguard once per turn when this unit stands by a card's ability, so itself. You may have this unit gain plus 5,000 until end of turn. So by himself, he's a 14k beatstick, assuming he's the first attack. So it's another nice offensive option. And fronts, I'm not running fronts in this deck. I could see an argument for it in V, but premium, honestly, there's just no excuse. The Brutal Troopers provide you with too much advantage to pass up, and the Stride crits, also their effects to, be paid, they let you pay for Stride with them, that's also very nice, and just crit pressure with the restanding Vanguard and stuff, that's really the direction that I think is best to go. Now, we're going to go on to combos. Alright, now here I'm going to show you a couple of combos, and we'll do a test run of the deck here, see how it goes. So let's roll to see if we are going first. That was a 13 on the opponent, let's see us. That's a 4, so it looks like we're going to be going second with this. Alright, so let's see here, let's draw our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is actually a really good hand here, so we're not going to want to shuffle anything back here. We've got our first ride in Beragios, and we've also got our booster here with Corvette, so that's going to come in really handy. So the opponent's going to go first. They ride grade 1, pass turn, then we're going to draw. We got Tetra-Drive Dragon, so cool, we got our ride line already. We're going to ride Beragios and add the Quick Shield from outside our deck. We're going to draw 1 off of starter skill. Whoops. Alright, well we saw what that was. That was a Tidal Assault, so we're going to activate his skill. Check the top 5 to see if we get anything good. And that Heal Guard is looking actually pretty tempting right now because we are going second. The opponent's going to get to grade 3 before us, so we're going to want this to keep ourselves alive, I think. We're going to put these back, and I think we're going to discard the Arsenal Fleet that we drew off of the Beragios when we rode. Okay, so we're going to have Arsenal Fleet here, discarded to the drop pile. Then we're going to call Corvette here behind the Beragios. So we're going to swing. Corvette has the additional 5k power because our Vanguard is a blue wave. So we're swinging here for 2100 power, so that's pretty good. Especially if the opponent's only a grade 1, which they are. So our drive check is going to be a crit. Alright, very nice. And assuming we hit, let's check top 3. We got a Tidal Assault, Tetra-Drive, and a Paschal. We'll add the Tetra-Drive. You never know when we're going to need to ride again, Alright. So opponent's turn, they're now at grade 2. They're going to swing at us, so let's take a damage, see what it is. It's a Prize Trident. Alright. Then, yeah, there was no point guarding it. Alright, so our turn then, we're going to draw. It's another Bubble Dragon. Alright, cool, so we're set for our next turn then. So we're going to stand our 2 units here. We're going to ride Foivos. Our Vanguard is still a blue wave, so we keep the 5k. And, let's see. Yeah, there's no real point in calling anything else, is there? So we're just going to swing with Van again. Pressure them to guard, no trigger, okay. And assuming we hit again, Corvette's effect, check 3. I think we're going to add another Corvette this time instead of the Tetra-Drive, because we're going to want to continue to harass for 13. And that is a magic number, after all. Okay. So our hand right now is looking pretty good. I think we're set to survive the opponent's next turn here. So, let's see. Start of the opponent's turn. Let me get rid of this. I'm going to let the first attack go through because I want Counterblast. Alright, it's a Tetra-Drive, so we're going to put that over there. And for the next few swings, we're going to guard with these. And suppose they're attacking 5 times. We added 20k to our Vanguard. That's another attack that went through, so it's 1 attack. 2, 3, 4 that we've guarded, and then a 5th attack. We could probably guard with a quick shield, I reckon. Seeing as we gained 20k from the 2 heal guards, so I think we're set. So we're going to draw for turn. Stand. And because we stood our Blue Wave Vanguard, we're going to Soul Blast 1 and add back the Arsenal Fleet that we discarded earlier. And we are going second, so we're going to ride Tetra-Drive Dragon, get ourselves an Excel 2, draw a card off of that Excel. Then we're going to discard the Arsenal Fleet and stride into Genbold Dragon. His effect is going to activate, allowing us to check 7 from the top of the deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Alright, very nice. Now here we see we got Prize Trident and a Brutal Trooper. Those, I think, are going to be the most enticing targets for us right now, seeing as that Prize Trident is going to allow us to countercharge, and Brutal Trooper is going to be a +1 in card advantage. So we're going to call the Prize Trident back here, because if we call him here and the Brutal Trooper here, and we shuffle the Brutal Trooper back, we're not going to be able to have anything here in defense position. Sorry, we're not going to have anything here as rest. So we're going to want to call this here and this here. That way we could call an attacking unit right here. So we're going to do that and shuffle that back into the deck for his effect. Alright, now let's see what else we've got here. I think we should call a Propulsion Dragon over here. Then call, let's see, a Corvette here. It'll gain an extra 5k. Tidal Assault, and another copy of Prize Trident. This is our hand. We're down to 3 cards. Keep this in mind. We'll see how much we end up with at the end of all this. Alright, so first wave, I think we're going to want to attack with Propulsion Dragon here. It's going to swing, then I'm going to use its effect, Counterblast 1, and swap with our Corvette in the back row. So now we have an 18k swinger up here in the front, as well as another Corvette here to harass. So next we're going to swing with this Corvette right here for 13, that's second wave. Third wave, Corvette again. Then we could use Tidal Assault's restand ability, but I'm actually going to save that for when Genbold's effect activates to restand this, so that if we get any triggers, we can actually do something useful with that. So this was first, second, third, fourth wave. And then fifth here, we're going to swing with Genbold Dragon, Counterblast. Then we're going to check, or we're going to draw 3 cards. First card, second, and third. Okay, those are our 3 draws. And triple drive, first check. We got a Brutal Trooper, so we're going to put this on Tidal Assault, I think. And we don't know if they guard it or not with Genbold, so we could put this either here or there, I believe. Then second check is a Paschal. We're going to put another 1,000 on Tidal Assault and draw a card. Okay. Then next check is a Beragios. Okay, not bad drive checks overall. Then we're going to activate Prize Trident's effect. We're going to, I think we'll use both. We're going to put them both into Soul and countercharge 2. So our Propulsion Dragon and our Genbold basically came out free. which is nice. So we're going to stand this, and we're going to stand this for extra pressure here. If the opponent got a defensive trigger, we could just use the Corvette up here to swing at a rear guard or something, assuming that they have any left after Genbold retired them. We're going to swing with Corvette here, as well as Tidal Assault twice for, let's see, 9, 14, 24 for the first swing, and then 19 for the second swing. So, yeah, that's going to be it for the Genbold turn. And I forgot here, we're also supposed to flip a Galphalia over, keep that in mind. She's going to be handy for next turn. And that will be rest. So, this is our hand now. I'd say it's fairly sizable. We should be okay, I think. We got 2 PGs, as well as plenty of damage to spare, so I think we're sitting pretty for the next turn. Now, let's suppose the opponent swings and we take a damage. It's a heal trigger. Let's assume we don't heal here. We're on the back foot or something, but we do get 10k. Let's take another hit. It's a Bright Shooter. That's unfortunate. I like Bright Shooter. So, next swing, we're going to PG. So that's a 4th wave. 5th wave, we're going to get rid of a Beragios. We don't need it. And I feel comfortable going to 5. Let's see. It's a Brutal Trooper. Alright. That is fine. Let's see. Okay, so I think we're going to move on to our next turn here. We're going to draw for turn. Okay, another Tetra-Drive Dragon. So we're going to stand all of our units here. We're going to give the 5Ks to both copies of Corvette. And we're going to ride our Tetra-Drive Dragon. Get another Excel there, and draw another card. Okay, cool, we got Bright Shooter this time. Alright, and because we stood, we're also going to Soul Blast the 2 copies of Prize Trident that we had before, and add the 2 Arsenal Fleet Dragons. Then immediately discard 1 for Stride. This time around, let's go for Flood Hazard Dragon. Flood Hazard Dragon, let's do a multi-attack aggro turn here. So I'm going to call a Propulsion Dragon up here on this Excel circle, which is going to swap with this Propulsion later on. And let's see, we have a Brutal Trooper, so I'm going to call it to the field and shuffle it back into the deck. I'll shuffle that in a second. I'm going to call a Bright Shooter right here, and I think right here I'm going to overcall for a Coral Assault. It is a bit of a neg 1, but we're going to make it up with the draw that he gets anyway, and the Brutal Trooper. So, let's see. I think I'm also going to call Beragios. Let's just go all in for a bit. Beragios is going to gain 5k, assuming we play our cards right here. So, this is our hand. 3 cards. Let's see how many we end up with at the end of this turn. Alright. So our first wave is going to be Propulsion Dragon. He's going to swing for 13 on the Vanguard. Then we're going to activate his effect. We're going to counterblast 1. I like to counterblast the heal triggers first on the event that we drive check a heal, and then we get to put this in drop and then pick it up again with our Bright Shooter. So we're going to counterblast 1 there, and use its effect, swap with this Propulsion Dragon right here. So we swapped once, this was the one in the back row, this was the one in the front row. That was first wave. Second wave, we're going to swing with this. His effect is going to check 1, or draw 1. Well, we didn't shuffle the deck, my bad. Alright, so we're going to do our draw 1 off of Brutal Trooper. Okay, good shield at least. Then it's Quadruple Drive. Because we are GB3, we have these 2 face up in the G zone. So we're going to do Quadruple Drive. Also, all of our blue wave units, I forgot here, have a continuous 2k as well. So first check is going to be a Brutal Trooper. Let's see, where do we want to allocate this power? I think we're going to put it on Corvette here. That way he's a 23k attacker. So it can harass the Vanguard a little better in case they hit a defensive. Second check, another Brutal Trooper. Nice. Okay, so we're going to add this one to this Corvette here. Make him a little stronger. Third check is going to be a Coral Assault. And fourth is another Corvette. Alright, cool. So that was second wave. Third wave, I think we're going to swing with Propulsion Dragon again and use his effect. This time we're going to counterblast the Tetra-Drive Dragon for the same reason we did the heal trigger, just in case we get to heal it for whatever reason. Then it's going to swap once again with this Propulsion Dragon. Fourth wave, swing again. Then his effect is going to activate. I get to counterblast one, flip another copy of itself from the G-Zone. There we go. Discard 2 and restand. Our options here. So we're going to discard Arsenal Fleet, as well as we're going to get rid of a Propulsion Dragon here. We're not going to need it. So we get to restand our Vanguard and swing once more, this time with the boost from Propulsion Dragon. So he's swinging for big numbers here. Our draw off of Brutal Trooper. It's a Foivos, okay. Our single drive check, the over trigger. Okay. I was kind of hoping that wouldn't happen, just so you guys could see more of like the process here, but this is fine. So it's going to remove itself from the game. I'm going to draw 2 off of it. All right, cool. We got another heal trigger. Then we're going to heal 1. So we're going to put this heal guard. I can grab it. There we go. We're going to put this over here. Our front row is going to have a continuous plus 10k. And we're going to give something a crit. Let's see, what are we going to give the crit to? We'll give it here. He's the biggest swinger, I think. So then we are going to swing with this Corvette right here for 23. Let's assume it doesn't hit. Then we're going to swing with this Corvette here, Beragios, because for our rested, he's going to gain an additional 5k. So this column is going to be swinging for, let's see, this is 18, 28, 31. So that's not bad. That's swinging over Volcagode right there, so that's pretty good. Then finally we're going to swing with Coral Assault and Bright Shooter here. So Coral Assault is going to be swinging by himself for 24, plus 7, let's see, 31 as well. So yeah, definitely swinging over Volcagode if we're going against a Link Joker player. Then Bright Shooter's effect is going to activate, adding Escutcheo back to our hand so that we may heal guard later on. So now we can heal guard twice. We also have a PG and a couple other 10Ks that we can use. Now at the end of our turn, Coral Assault is going to go into Soul and draw us a card. Oh, just replaced itself. All right. Let me remove all of these, get rid of the stride here. And let's count how many cards we have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All right, so it's fairly standard, I think. It's not as crazy as like other Aqua Force builds that get like anywhere from 15 to maybe 20 cards I've seen sometimes in their hand. But we don't really want that. You know, we want to maintain a good amount of cards, but we also don't want to deck out either. You know, we don't want to risk that. Let's see. Yeah, let's do another turn, I think. So it's the opponent's turn now. They're striding, so we can G-Guard here. Let's counterblast. We'll do Iwanus, I think. That way we can protect our field from destruction. So there's Iwanus, and for her cost, we have to flip a Galphelia. So that is what we'll do. We'll now have 3 G-Guards face up in the G-Zone, meaning that we are still free to use this one as well. We can use the second Iwanus if we really need to. And you know what? Let's do just that. Why not? Let's assume our opponent's really going all out on us. So there's the Iwanus, there's the Galphelia. And our counterblast for it, of course. Now let's take a damage. Alright, it's a Foivos. Interesting. So that's 3 attacks dealt with so far. Let's assume this is 4. And 5. Let's do this right here. Let's do a 20k shield and... yeah, we'll do these as well. Let's assume it's a big swing. Alright. So we're all set. Let's draw for turn again. Alright. Stand all of our units. Then I think we're going to, Soul Blast 2. Add back the 2 copies of Arsenal Fleet Dragon once again. There we go. And ride Tetra-Drive. Get ourselves another Imaginary Gift XL. Draw a card off of that. Cool. Alright. Now we're going to stride. Let's call this our kill turn. So we're going to want to stride this time into our Alexandros, our main finisher. So let's see how many cards we have here in the G zone. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 face up currently. And we can Soul Blast 3, I believe, to countercharge 3 with the 3 Galphelios we've got here. But let's see, how many Counter Blast are we going to need? So if we're going to do this, our Propulsion Dragon here, we're going to be using these. So that's 2 Counter Blast right there, 3. So we need 3 Counter Blast, we have 1 available, meaning we only need to Soul Blast 2. So that's fine. So we're going to Soul Blast 2 here, these 2. Flip 2 copies of Galphelia over. And countercharge 2. So now we have our 3 required counterblast for our kill turn. On our new Excel marker, we're also going to call Tidal Assault and Coral Assault right over here. Well, before we call the Coral Assault, let's call the Brutal Trooper and shuffle it back, just so we have an extra crit in deck. Let me shuffle this real quick. Alright, cool. So now we're going to give our 5k to our copies of Corvette. Move these a bit so you can see. Yeah, it's kind of messy. Oh well. So, this right here, I believe, is a 11 attack? No, yeah, this is an 11 attack turn right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing with Corvette first for 13. Poke with the Vanguard, right? Simple 5k shield, that should do it. Swing for 14 on the Vanguard with Tidal Assault. Then, third wave, Alexandros is going to swing. His effect is going to activate because he was second or third wave. We will Counterblast 1. Flip a card in the G zone face up. Flip a Galphelia. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards face up in the G zone. Meaning that we get to restand these 2 units and give them 35k power each. So that right there is insane, if you ask me. Let me add that there. All right, 35k power. You can see it. There we go. All right. So there's our 35k on each. Then our triple drive, we're going to check here. It's a bright shooter, a critical trigger. Okay, we're going to add that to, I think, the Propulsion Dragon back here so I can swing for 23 when we swap. Third check is a Corvette. All right. Now, next we're going to swing with this Corvette over here. This is going to be 18. Not that big, so the opponent will most likely be able to deal with it, but that's fine. We're going to swing with Propulsion Dragon here and activate its effect. Counterblast 1. 35 plus 13, that is 45, 48 on the Vanguard. So they're going to need like a PG or something to guard that, I believe. Swap here. Attack again. This is for 23. That's a 15 shield. Counterblast. Swap yet again. We get to swing with this another time. This that's 4 attacks each on this circle here. So then we're going to swing again. And then Tidal Assault gets to swing twice, although he gets the -5 here. But that's still over 30k power for that swing. Then swing here. Beragios gets the extra 5k, and swing with Coral Assault. So you see here, we have massive numbers on our kill turn, and if we haven't won by now, then I'm not sure. The opponent must be doing something really nutty, like Revengers. So, yeah. Alright, well I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile and the test hand there. Had a lot of fun making it. Hopefully I get to make a couple more Aqua Force deck profiles, as that is my favorite clan, if you couldn't tell from the Maelstrom playmat there. Once again, thanks to Godsman00 for introductions to the game, and I hope to see you all for the next deck profile. That's it. Thanks.